What is up, guys? We need to talk about the Harley Davidson CVO RR. What in the world is Harley thinking about charging somebody $110,000 for a CVO motorcycle? Any motorcycle, really. Well, let's talk about it. I figure we'll give our opinion, our look, our whatever, based on this topic of the CVO RR. Now, right off the bat, if you've never heard of this motorcycle, it is Harley Davidson's CVO race bike that you can purchase at a price of $110,000 maybe. I say maybe because they're only making 131 of those. That number is iconic or whatever because that is Harley's race motor right now, 131. I think they have made some 135s, but the 131 is kind of their like race motor that they can sell to the consumer. They do themselves. They can put in dealers and all those type of stuff. The 135 is a full-on like kind of like more race motor, but the 131 is kind of synonymous with like the big M8 engine. So they're doing 131 of those at $110,000. Are you going to pay 110 if you go get one? Probably not. 110 is the MSRP. I bet they're going to mark it up $20,000-$30,000 at a dealer because, let's face it, just in general, if there's 50, I don't know if those bikes are going to go over country. I would assume that maybe one or two of them are going to be possibly allocated out of country, and then I'm sure one or two of them are not going to be sold to the public. Someone's going to get it, or they're never going to have a chance to get it in the States anyways, or anywhere, because maybe some executive or some important person is going to be able to get number one or get number 131 or whatever, or they may even auction off to charity. Companies will do that sometimes. So you probably aren't even going to be able to get one. They probably are not going to sell 131 of them in America. So the pickings are going to be slim. So what's going to happen is they're probably going to raise the price 20 or 30 grand at any dealer that might actually get their hands on one. And all the allocations are probably going to be gone just like that. So you're probably going to pay 130, 140, and then you have taxes and fees. So you're looking at over $150,000 for this bike. Is it worth it? In short, no. Is Harley doing a terrible thing? Also, no. And let's get into that. So I see this bike as the Dodge Demon. If you don't know, years back, Dodge released the Demon. It was basically a drag car from the factory. And they advertised that it could do wheelies from the factory. It came with drag tires. Like an extra set, or you could order the drag pack or whatever. But drag car, and they claimed it illegal for the drag strip. It was too fast for the drag strip. Basically, it didn't meet the safety standards for a drag strip that the car, for the speed the car could go. So, in my opinion, Dodge did that and basically just looked at all other manufacturers and gave them the middle finger. It was like, we made the coolest car. And I thought it was amazing, not because it was worth it or any of those things, but for marketing. You put something that was so different and so bold out there, everyone had to share it, look at it, talk about it. They didn't have to pay for any of that marketing. And I think that's what Harley is kind of doing here. They're doing two things. One, I think it's 100% a marketing stunt. Somebody wanted to do this. They just want to have this, so they're going to do it. And of course, it's going to be limited, so they can raise the price, and they don't have to worry about selling them. They're going to sell 131 of them. That's not a problem. So there's really no risk, right? Now, you're going to have a lot of people talk down about it, saying that way too expensive. It's so stupid. And that's not necessarily not true. Is it worth it? I don't know. You can go look up the specs on the bike for yourself, but a quick rundown is 150 horsepower, 150 torque ish, full carbon, like body for the most part. Then you have like another like big step for racing is like for the brakes and different fasteners. They have that like wire cabling that goes through it. All aluminum parts, and they stress this so much, all aluminum parts are billet. Nothing's cast. Everything is made out of a chunk of stuff. That does cost money. And then, of course, they have this really cool like mid-control set. And what is Harley doing with this? Multiple different things. I said two, but it's multiple different things they're doing. Biggest thing, PR. It's all about marketing. They're going to get so many people to look at this, and no other bike manufacturer is doing this. And everybody's just like, well, damn. It's so different. Now, they've done this before in a different way. If you don't remember way back, they made the V-Rod Destroyer. They made a drag bike that you could buy. It was a straight-up race bike. Could not ride it on the road. There's probably none of them being driven, raced, or whatever to this day. They were probably used back then, but I don't think there's any, because the motor was completely different. You probably can't get parts for it. But the V-Rod Destroyer was just a crazy, it came with a wheelie bar. Like, it was a straight-up drag bike. And they sold it to the public. You probably had to be special to get one and try to find one, and I don't know the price of it, and that's not really what we're talking about, but Harley has done this before. So they're using this as a marketing tool to kind of get brand recognition and get people talking, getting people to look at it, and it's not going to cost them anything, and that's what's cool. Secondly, I think what they're doing is they're trying to promote just Harley Davidson racing. I think that there's not a huge thing about drag racing anymore with Harley Davidsons, especially since like there isn't really any talk. Like nitro bikes and all those different like motorcycle drag racing used to be bigger than it is now, and they're not really racing like Harley motorcycles. Like there's nothing out in the drag scene and the higher like competition style that represents anything you can go to the showroom and buy. But you have King of the Baggers now. You have the Bagger Racing League. You have all these Harleys and Indians and different people that are racing these V-twin bikes, and they're getting noticed, and people are enjoying it. People are having a good time, and it's back to kind of Harley's roots of racing and just getting out there. I think that is another thing they're doing. They're promoting the motorsports side of things that Harley is getting into that they have not done in a long time. And so not only is it promoting their brand, but it is also promoting a premier sport that they are a part of. And I think it's a killer idea. So they're supporting two things at the same time. And then thirdly, I think they're looking at a better parts model. So in the Harley world, there is a huge want for performance parts. You're going to have your average people who will buy a Harley and look through their catalog, buy a few things and whatever. But the performance crowd, they don't buy things from Harley. They just don't. You're going to have people to get those engine packages. I think that's why they kind of jumped on that right away. They're like, look, we're making all these engines for the race teams and everything anyways. Why don't we sell race engines, or like race engines, but just their engines? Crate engines is what I'm looking for. Why don't we sell those? And they've done that. You can get a 131, 135. They haven't really done that as much in the past, and they're just promoting this. I think a big thing they're going to do is their carbon panels and some of their billet parts, and specifically their controls. There's not a really like perfect fix out there for people wanting to run mid controls on a bagger. Are there companies out there that sell them? Absolutely, but it's not mainstream. And what if you could buy it from the factory? And I think that's what they're doing. They developed this bike to build and sell, to promote the brand in general, the Bagger Racing League and all of that, and then their parts. The bike isn't even important. The sale of the bike isn't important. That is what they're doing. That is my opinion. I would love to know your opinion. But in the whole scope, are they going to sell the bike and make some money? I don't know. I don't know what it was, because I'm sure all these bikes were probably hand built. 131 of them, that's not as much of a assembly process as far as trying to get it down to a science and cut out all the costs that you can cut out. No, these bikes are probably hand built. So they're not saving as much money there. Are they making some money? Probably. But that's not what's important. It's all about the marketing, advancing the racing, and launching a parts selection, I believe. I'd love to know your take. That's just kind of mine. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Please comment down below. Let me know what your take is. Have you thought about all the things that I thought of? Have you thought of something different? And just what do you think about my take? I'd love to hear your opinions, and maybe we'll figure this thing out. I haven't seen one in person. They did release it in Daytona. I just wasn't there when they released it, and I didn't get over there to go look at it. I saw some pictures and saw some different stuff and some videos about it. Just kind of wanted to release my take. I think everyone's so focused on the overall price of just the bike, and they're taking it at face value. I don't think they're looking around and seeing what Harley is probably doing with this, because it's much more important than just that bike. So I'll leave you with that. Keep it wretched.